Missy, my daughter, was like a perfect child.
Marissa was always a joy from the beginning.
And she was always excited about school, always excelled in school. And then the last year especially, she began to withdraw.
I never saw that side. I saw the side that she wanted me to see.
Had she made it through maybe another 6 months or a year, she would have grown past those influences. She felt desperate to make a statement. And she made her statement, that's for sure.
And there was a police officer in the driveway, and I said, "Do you know something about Marissa?" And he said, "Yes." I said, "Is it bad?" He said, "Yeah." And he said, "She took a taxi cab to the Golden Gate Bridge, and she jumped." And I said, "No, that's not possible. My daughter would never do that. You must be mistaken. You have the wrong girl. My daughter would never, ever do that." And he said, "She did do that. There was witnesses. She put her wallet down, and you can call the coroner's office to confirm it."
I can tell you that the heartbreak, the heartache of losing a child to suicide is the most painful experience that anyone can ever experience. And I would give anything in the world to have my daughter back with me right now.
Marissa Emery was only 14 years old when she took her life. Her untimely death is part of a greater tragedy unfolding in this country. Each year, over 5,000 young people commit suicide, but it doesn't have to be that way. Most children and young adults who commit suicide show signs of depression at a young age, as early as kindergarten or first grade. Our best hope for preventing suicide is to help these children as early as possible. I'm Marial Hemingway, and I invite you to take the next few minutes learning how to identify the warning signs of childhood depression and how to refer these children for the additional help they so desperately deserve. Your efforts may help save the life of a child.
I've been a teacher since 1973. 30 plus years, always in early childhood education. I've been an advocate for young children my whole life.
Because I've been a crisis coordinator on campuses, kindergarten through 12th grade, I've had too many times when I've been called out to a school where there has been suicide.
We come to work every day with the intention of doing good things for children. If we think we can do good things for kids and not pay attention to their emotional state, not have in place the interventions that we can bring to fore early on, it's like we're running a race with our legs tied.
When there's been a suicide of a student, the campus can feel like there's a level of agitation, and I guess you might say hysteria.
I've had teachers come back to me after they've known that their students in grade school that committed suicide later on, and they have felt extremely guilty. They absolutely said, "I wish I would have known better and had the courage to report this child for more help."
We are not here for the adults. That what we do here is about what's good for kids, and it's not about whose fault it is. It's not about what people should have or could have done in the past for kids. It's about what's the child need today, and what are we going to do about it. The sooner you intervene on issues, the more impact that you're going to have. The earlier that you catch an issue, whether it's academic or emotional or any other issue, and address it in a sound manner, the more successful you're going to be, and the fewer resources actually it's going to require.
Teachers aren't therapists. You don't have to know exactly what the problem is, but if there is some problem, it's more valuable to refer this child than to worry about the stigma of labeling this child.
80% of teachers I've worked with over the years without any rating scales or standardized testing, they're right on the money. They know exactly what's going on with the children.
What we're asking of teachers, not to be a therapist, not to be a psychologist, you don't need to evaluate the child to know exactly what kind of a disorder the child has. But if there is some indication, as I spoke about some of these symptoms, the teacher must refer the child. What I'm asking for is identify that this child is at risk. This child has some problem. You don't know what it is, and you're not supposed to know. We don't want to add any further responsibility to the teacher.
Elementary school students with depression are often labeled as angry, aggressive, or sad and withdrawn. But these labels often mask a far more serious problem: depression that may lead to suicide if left unchecked. Not every student with depression will commit suicide, but every child who commits suicide battles depression. Considering that 1 in every 33 children suffers from depression, the chances are good that there's a child at risk in every classroom.
How do teachers decide, what's what I call a child's at risk?
In the course of anyone's life, adults or children, there's a flow. You're going to see lots of different emotions, and sometimes you are going to see sorrow, and sometimes you are going to see rage. Those are normal. But when a pattern gets narrow and that's all you see most of the time, or a flatness or a mask that you cannot read the emotions, that's when you've gone from what normal emotions might look like to serious or concerning patterns.
The major way of detecting symptoms is change in behavior. When you see a child who is one way, who is outgoing and spirited and very involved with friends, and then they become very reclusive and withdrawn and don't want to play the way they used to play, that's a sign. It's a problem, but not just a change 1 day or 2 days. It has to be a couple of weeks that you notice that this child just is appearing differently. And also the reverse, a child who is very withdrawn all of a sudden becomes very outgoing and giddy and friendly. That is still a problem.
Some of the observable traits that I see in my classroom, a sudden change in their personality, an inability to attend to task. Little feelers tend to go up, the hairs on the back of your neck.
The signs that I often will encourage teaching staff and also classified staff to pay attention to are patterns of behavior and affect that a child may have, including patterns of irritability and aggression, as well as withdrawal and kind of a lack of being tuned into their appearance.
Sad or mad, okay? And those are two sides of depression. Sad are kids that, a fancier word is internalizing. And those are the kids that withdraw, they don't have friends, they are lonely.
They're so distracted by what's in their head and they feel so horrible that they're not able to focus on their schoolwork. And then there's also the opposite, that those kids who are depressed focus only on their schoolwork, and that's their little sanctuary.
The internalizing kids, they're a little bit harder because they're the quieter ones, and they can drop through the cracks, if you will, and teachers don't notice them enough because the old thing, the squeaky wheel gets the most grease, obviously.